swear I keep a pot up in the kitchen, touch my money, then I swear you gonna be sleeping with the fishes. I swear.
In the NFL, parity is the goal. On any given Sunday, any team can win. Except for 2 straight years, the Cleveland Browns decided that any given Sunday did not apply to them. After a 3-win season in 2015, it was fair to assume that the following season was going to be an improvement.
This is gonna be hard to watch, bro. This is gonna be hard to watch.
That was especially true when Cleveland promoted Sashi.
Sashi, this nigga was a baseball head. He was a baseball head. Came to the Browns with his analytics from baseball and applied them to football and ran. Yo, Sashi, yo, rest in piss, bro.
Browns, who general manager, and hired Hugh Jackson to be
This Hugh Jackson, bro. Hugh Jackson, bro. Who was it? Was it Darius Randall that got a pick and then handed him the ball when he went to go coach at Cincinnati? So satisfying, bro.
the head coach. Jackson at the time was generally well liked. They even went the
That's another thing. Why are these bad coaches well liked, bro? Like, how are you well liked? Nigga, you don't win. Hugh Jackson went to the Raiders, was ass. He went to the Browns, was ass. He went to the Bengals, ass. But for some reason, he's just this well-liked guy. Send me a tweet. Yeah, for sure. You put it in the chat. I can click it from there. Browns really be wanting the worst ending possible. Bro, man, fuck good people skills. Nigga, can you help us win? That's why I like Eric Bieniemy. That's why I like Bill Parcells. You not gonna like them, but they gonna win you games. Jerry Jones letting go of Bill Parcells was the biggest blunder in recent Dallas Cowboys firing and hiring, bro. Eric Bieniemy not being a head coach is just beyond. I can't wrap my mind around that, bro. Hugh's a good guy. I don't care. I know you right, greatness. You right. It's just seeing these niggas, bro. Seeing these niggas pissed me off. What is this? According to today's Skating Exposed Art of Diana Rossini, when getting pulled over for a ticket, would FaceTime NFL head coaches to get out of the tickets. In one example, she asked the cop's favorite team, then FaceTime the team's head coach. He picked up and Rossini got out of the ticket. Diana, I see you're a Browns fan. I can FaceTime Hugh Jackson for you. Man, can you please step out of it? No, on God. On God. Oh my God, this is so fucking accurate. This is so accurate. Not only would I have told her to get out of the vehicle, brother, I would have turned my body cam off. I would have turned my body cam off, shot both her tail lights out, shot 2 back tires. I'm gonna be like, why are you driving around like this? Talking about, do you want to talk to Hugh Jackson? Give me his address. Give me his address, and I'll let you out of the fucking ticket. Fucking hate Hugh Jackson, bro. Diana's a scum. Was that real? Yo, she's weird. She's a weirdo.
Route, hiring a major
Shots
league
fired, me
baseball
back up.
executive to be their chief strategy officer.
I
The
can't
infrastructure may
stand
have
her, bro. I
changed,
can't
but
stand
when you
him.
looked at the Browns,
Yeah, but I don't forget
Here
you.
go,
I
thanks for the
don't
sub,
forget
Gangy. Thanks for the sub, my boy. I appreciate it.
Flamgawdvstheworld.
The fuck did you say to me?
behind Johnny, it was Josh McCown and Austin Davis. In other words, the quarterback one was not on their roster. Defensively, their top players from 2015 were over 30 years old, and there was not an obvious stud player to build around for
Guys, this team was so bad. This team had no talent on it whatsoever. Terrell Pryor had promise, but he wanted to go get his money, which I respect, but
the future. One way to stay bad in this league is to consistently miss on your draft.
Oh my God, we had old ass Dante Whitner, Carlos Dansby, like washed up ass niggas, man.
Picks, especially the high
Real legends at quarterback. I thought Deshaun Kaiser was going to save us. I really did.
Though Cleveland routinely picked in the top 10, their results near the top of the draft have been abysmal. Here's a
Olivier Vernon. Oh, what a demon. For 1 year and then injuries, but I miss him.
List of the Browns' first-round picks from the previous 5 years pre-2016. Danny Shelton, Cameron Irving, Justin Gilbert, Johnny Manziel, Barkevious Mingo, Trent Richardson, Brandon Weeden, and Phil Taylor.
How do you miss on 8 fucking first-round picks? How do you miss on 8 fucking first-round picks? How do you miss on 8? How do you miss on 8 picks, bro? How do you miss on 8 of those, bro? How?
It's almost impressive how bad that list is. You would think out of 8 first-round picks, just by dumb luck alone, at least one of those guys was going to have a respectable career. They did not. All 8 fell well short of
All
expectations.
cuz our fucking GM wanted to bring baseball analytics into football. He wanted to draft using baseball knowledge. Nigga, you can't just draft an 18-year-old out of West Point George Mont High School and expect a nigga to be ready in 2-3 years. You have to actually scout. There's so many players. I can honestly say this. I swear to God. If I was the GM, I remember this like it was yesterday. I would always, oh my God, draft day. I would love draft day. I would have my own draft board back in high school and in college. It just gave me something to do. And I would circle the names I would want. I was a better drafter than our GM, bro. I really was.
However, with new analytics people, a
Johnny
new
just
approach, and
didn't
new
study
identity,
film.
this quote-unquote same old Browns mantra was going to be a thing of the past.
Look at our GM. Look at our real GM in the back. Look at Andrew. Look at Drew. Look at Drewski. That's my boy. Your GM don't got waves like Andrew Barry. Andrew Barry got a comic book. Was it Norman Osborn waves? Yeah, he different.
That was the hope, at least. 2016 was an eventful
His name was
offseason,
Sashi.
but
That
Cleveland
should be a
did
red
lose
flag.
some pretty important pieces. 2 of those losses being on the offensive line, with center Alex Mack and right tackle Mitchell Schwartz. I still find
When Schwartz went to Kansas City and Alex went to Atlanta, I was like, oh my God, this line's ass. But somehow we bounced back and still had probably the best O-line in the league for like 5 years.
it crazy that the Browns had an offensive line of Joe Thomas, Joel Bitonio, Alex Mack, John Greco, and Mitchell Schwartz.
Are you guys listening to that offensive line? Are you guys hold on. Listen to it one more time. Just listen to the names he's saying.
The line of Joe Thomas, Joel Bitonio, Alex Mack, John Greco, and Mitchell Schwartz, yet still found a way to be the 30th ranked offense. A couple of veterans on defense like Dante Whitner and Carlos Dansby departed, as the Browns front office looked to get younger and faster. They would sign linebacker Demario Davis, which in hindsight was a fantastic move, although his time in Cleveland did not last too long. More on that later. Sashi Brown in the front office made a trade for oft-injured cornerback Jamar Taylor, a former second-round pick with some upside. The big acquisition, though, based on name value, and speaking of often injured, was Robert Griffin III. RG3,
Didn't y'all draft a good right guard too? Yep.
who was now 3 full
This is when I thought shit was about to turn around, bro. This is when I was like, yo, we're back in action, gang. We're back. We got RG3. You know, he's been well rested. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have to trade for him. We just signed him. You know, his knee's healthy. He's feeling good. We finna have an electric offense.
seasons removed from his electric rookie season that was tragically cut short due to an ACL injury, was looking for a fresh start. With the lack of quarterback competition in Cleveland, along with a new head coach labeled
I thought Cody Kessler was ass. I wanted Christian Ponder. I know he's no better, but I didn't like Cody Kessler at USC.
as a quarterback whisperer, it made sense
That exact O-line wins a Super Bowl and at least, no, that's facts. If you plug that offensive line into the other 31 teams, out of those 31 teams, I think 24 of them make playoffs. Out of those 24, I think 12 make a conference final game. And out of those 12, I think 6 win a Super Bowl.
for RG3 to view this destination as attractive, despite their poor
Yeah.
reputation, especially at his position. It was an affordable 2-year deal, and still at just 26 years old, it was worth a gamble for Cleveland as well. Even though Griffin was now signed, Cleveland did hold the 2nd overall pick in 2016's draft, with quarterback being a top priority and 2
God,
quarterbacks
Carson.
going 1st and 2nd overall. It gave this regime a chance to draft and develop their own guy. Carson Wentz did go 2nd overall. It just wasn't to the Cleveland Browns. Sashi Brown actually traded back twice in the 2016.
This nigga's an idiot, bro. This nigga was an idiot, dude. Don't mention Antonio Callaway on the stream ever again. Fuck that nigga. Bro, we were picking 2 overall, and we traded back twice for nothing, bro. For nothing. For absolutely nothing, dude.
Draft.
We didn't have a quarterback, so why would you trade back if you're in the 2 spot? You need a
First with the Eagles, who of course took Wentz, and then the Tennessee Titans. Despite knowing in retrospect that this regime was a total disaster, it was actually a really good idea to parlay those picks to accumulate more picks for the future. For a roster so depleted with talent, this ultimately was the right decision. Through these 2 pick swaps alone, Cleveland picked up a 2016 third round pick, 2016 fourth round pick, 2017 first round pick, 2018 second round pick, 2016 third round pick, and 2017 second round pick.
Just to go out and draft some shit. I think with the 2018 second round pick, though, I think we got Nick Chubb with that one, if I'm not mistaken.
But with all those picks, you still need to draft the right players. The Browns may have missed out on guys like Wentz, Joey Bosa, Jalen Ramsey, DeForest Buckner, and others, but they still held the 15th overall pick and much more when it was all said and done. With that 15th overall pick, they selected Baylor wide receiver Corey Coleman, an extremely talented player coming off a 1,300-yard, 20-touchdown season as a junior. Thanks to multiple tradebacks, Cleveland drafted a staggering 14 players in the 2016 class alone. Out of those 14, only one would.
Corey Coleman was ass. Emmanuel Ogbah was ass. Carl Nassib was decent. Sean Coleman was ass. Cody Kessler was ass. Joe Schobert is a legend. Joe Schobert is a legend in my household, bro. I missed the Joe Show. And then he went to Jacksonville and got paid. Ricardo Lewis was ass. Derrick Henry was ass. Seth DeVal was ass. Jordan Payton was ass. Spencer Drango was ass. Rashard Higgins. Hollywood Higgins, man. Hollywood Higgins and Joe Show, the only 2 good players out of this. And we drafted them in the 4th and 5th round. I miss Hollywood Higgins, bro.
Team players in the 2016 class alone. Out of those 14, only one would go on to receive an extension with the team. It was a 1-year deal to Rashard Higgins, a wide receiver who
that crispy ass flat top game. That nigga really was Hollywood Higgins, bro. Whenever he would score and oh my God, when Baker would roll out the red carpet for him. Yeah, Corey is the Hard Knocks guy. Coach told him to stop whining and quit bitching. This nigga wanted to go. I think he went home and like reorganized his shoes or something, and then we released him. Higgins is trash. Haji, bro. Don't piss me off, bro. Don't piss me off, bro. Higgins, bro. Yo, what's good? What's good, brother? How you doing, man? Welcome in. Bro, our wide receiver core, we didn't really have stars, but we had guys that made some noise that could make plays. Really, we just needed a quarterback game. Like, that's all we needed. That's all we needed was a quarterback. He looks like if Juju was born 10 years prior to his actual birthday.
Never eclipsed more than 600 yards in a single season throughout his career. That was their big hit. Safe to say Sashi Brown and their modernized front office heavily,
unfortunately,
whiffed on their first go at it. But let's see how the rest of the roster
that shit contagious.
Formed in 2016. Robert Griffin couldn't even last one full game.
Yeah, this fragile ass nigga, bro, is made out of dried air-fried napkin meat, bro.
For landing on injured reserve
for the
he was sorry as hell. Season. He completed 12 of 26 passes, no touchdowns, and one interception before suffering a broken left collarbone late in garbage time. Next in line was Josh McCown, the 37-year-old journeyman. You'll never guess what happens next because this is actually crazy. McCown in his first start of 2016 also suffers a broken collarbone of his own, making him inactive for the next.
Mind you, all of our court. Bro, we're literally in this exact shot, we're literally getting dicked down by the Ravens, bro. That's how bad we were.
5 games. So now we're 2 games in, and the Browns are down to their 3rd-string quarterback due to the exact same injury. Next in line was 3rd-round rookie out of USC.
Fucking Cody Kessler. Cody Kessler is literally Jake Paul with a helmet, bro. I'm not even joking with you. Who cursed the Browns? The nigga that sold the team to Cleveland when we were in Baltimore first, bro. Oh no. Yeah. The Ravens are supposed to be Cleveland.
Cody Kessler. He was probably thrown into the fire much sooner than the Browns ever wanted or imagined, but they really had no other choice. The good news was Kessler finished his first start unscathed and started 4 more games in a row. The bad news was Kessler went 0-5 in those games. He actually wasn't that bad from a statistical standpoint, only having 2 total turnovers, throwing 4 touchdowns, and completing 66% of his passes, and still had a respectable yards per attempt number. Kessler was ruled out for week 8 with a concussion, but there was some belief that the Browns may have found something here. And just as a side,
does this look like a franchise quarterback to you, or does this look like somebody that that has acted in a movie with Paul Rudd. He looks like Tony Romo's little brother who's not in shape but hella funny, so that's why you invite him to like parties and shit. Like he don't even look like a football player. Danhausen, bro, I ain't gonna lie. I would love for him to curse the rest of the AFC North except us, bro. Justin Blackman, yeah.
Because this also has to be included. Sashi Brown in the front office, despite being 0-8, made a move at the deadline to acquire linebacker Jamie Collins for a third-round compensatory pick. The risk, however, was Collins was set to be a free agent in a few months. And although they could franchise tag him, the goal was to strike a long-term deal with the 27-year-old star. It's one of those funny situations where a guy goes to bed at 7-1 and then wakes up at 0-8. But that's why they call it a business, I guess. Plus, New England was never going to give him what he wanted, so this was a good thing for Collins financially. In terms of winning, though, not so much. Despite being on a historically bad team for half of 2016, Collins would receive a Super Bowl ring a few months later, as this was the same season New England pulled off the 28-3 comeback. Back to the Browns and Cody Kessler. He'd return for Week 9 with the team now 0-8, and his next 3 starts left much to be desired, as Cleveland fell to 0-11. Kessler's stats.
Look at these scores, bro. Dallas 35-10, Baltimore 28-7, Pittsburgh 24-9.
Were once again not awful, but nothing impressive and probably mediocre at best. Week 11 would be Kessler's last start of the season, as he suffered a second concussion in under a month. Just overall a brutal year for Browns quarterbacks when it came to injuries, and mostly brutal performances on the field as well. Why? That was probably mean, sorry. It got so bad that
you trying to truck people.
Clipboard Jesus himself had to play some snaps.
Oh my God, fucking Charlie Whitehurst.
Josh McCown was brought back to start their final game before the bye, and he was welcomed back with a 7-sack performance and 2 lost fumbles versus the Giants. The quote-unquote new look.
Nigga threw a pick 6 to a nigga with 7 fingers, bro. How do you throw a pick 6 to a nigga with 8 fingers, bro?
Browns still had not won a single game since the change at general manager and head coach, as they fell to 0-12 entering December. At this point, Browns fans were organizing a perfect season parade for their anticipated 0-16 record. It was a good cause looking to raise $10,000 for the Greater Cleveland Food Bank, but the Browns still needed to lose their...
You know what's crazy? Not too much on... Man, fuck Charlie Whitehurst, bro. You know what's crazy, though? The last game of the season, we could have won. The year we went 0-16, but the way we lost that game is why I will never respect Corey Coleman, because he used to talk so much shit. Coach, just give me an opportunity. I just want a chance to show I could be a big player. And the way we fucking lost because of...
Final 4 games, job not finished. By the time week 14 came around, the Browns had a 1-game lead for the worst record in the league. Their consolation prize waiting at the end in April was Texas A&M edge rusher Myles Garrett, who was viewed as a can't-miss prospect.
Miles, bro, I miss you, cousin.
And the guy that can change an entire defense.
Look at that.
In that snowy week 14 game, Cleveland hosted Cincinnati and brought back RG3, who was now cleared from his collarbone injury. His performance was shaky to say the least, although he did rush for a touchdown in the eventual 23-10 loss. The following week at Buffalo was no different, allowing another big rushing performance, this time to LaShawn McCoy, who tallied 153 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Entering week 16, it seemed like the first win of the season was never going to happen. Phillip Rivers and the Chargers may have been 5-9 and traveling across the country, but nobody really anticipated the home team pulling off the upset. When Cody Parkey's field goal pushed the lead to 20-10 early in the third quarter, a sense of belief swept through First Energy Stadium and had people thinking we might be witnessing a Christmas miracle. The Chargers faced a 4th and 2 on their own 40.
This third down stop, bro.
Down by 3 and 7 minutes remaining, but Mike McCoy elected to punt for God knows what reason. The cowardice move did pay off though, as Cody Kessler, who had just replaced an injured Robert Griffin, got sacked on 3rd down near his own end zone. A punt return to the Browns 33 gave San Diego instant good field position, putting them in field goal range before their offense even had to run a play. Jamar Taylor, the cornerback Sashi Brown traded for in the offseason, had a big pass breakup in the end zone, which led to a 32 32-yard field goal attempt by Josh Lambo. This should have been pretty routine, even in the cold weather, but the kick was blocked by Jamie Meter, which led the Browns to their first win in 377 days. It was their first win since week 14 of 2015. This once again took place in week 16 of
That was the last time we were going to win for 2 years. That was our last win for 2 years.
2016. To top this all off, Cleveland received another unexpected Christmas gift later that evening. By rallying to beat the Rams, the 49ers moved to 2 wins on the season, clearing a path for the Browns to secure the top pick in the 2017 draft. All they had to do was lose in the final week at
That was our only win in like 2-3 years.
Pittsburgh, or hope for another Niners win. The 10-5 Steelers really had nothing to play for, so they sat the Killer Bees, and
these niggas sat the Steelers and still won. They
actually put Cleveland in a very awkward position. They could have ended 2016 on a 2-game win streak and maintained the positive vibes. In return, though, they would be losing out on Myles Garrett. And if memory serves correct, there was supposedly a big talent drop-off from the first overall pick to the second overall.
There was. Myles Garrett was the only clear-cut #1 prospect, hands down, can't miss pick, bro.
You had prospects like Jamal Adams, Solomon Thomas, and even Mitchell Trubisky, but none were viewed as generational like Myles Garrett. The final week in Pittsburgh got very hairy at the end. The Browns had this game won. They possessed the ball at Pittsburgh's 5-yard line with a minute and 4 seconds remaining. You figured they were guaranteed to at least end this drive with a field goal at minimum. That was until running back Isaiah Crowell fumbled the ball, and it was recovered by the Steelers, forcing overtime and providing a massive sigh of relief for a fan base that was suddenly terrified of winning their way out of the first overall pick. In overtime, the Browns needed just 2 yards in 2 plays to win the game, but thanks to maybe the worst bubble screen you'll ever see, the Steelers were able to hold them to 3 points. This one play summed up their season so perfectly. Now all the Browns had to do was stop the Steelers' backups from scoring a touchdown, and Cleveland ends the season at 2-14 and throws away the first.
Landry Jones walked us down, bro. No, TP was cool. Terrell Pryor was really good for us.
Overall pick in a matter of 2 weeks. Thanks to Landry Jones and a gentleman by the name of Kobe Hamilton, the Browns were able to retain their spot at the top of the draft with a walk-off game-winning touchdown. Barring something unforeseen, Myles Garrett was going to be a Cleveland Brown in late April. They even had a pick 6 in this game by Brian Body Calhoun that got overturned because he fumbled the ball out of the end zone, costing the Browns 7 points. Just a masterful tank job. At the end of it all, the Browns not only finished 1-15, but here's where they ranked in some important categories around the league. 31st in offensive points, 30th in points allowed on defense, 28th in offensive passing yards, 31st in defensive yards allowed, 30th in defensive turnovers, the most passing touchdowns allowed, and the 31st ranked run defense. Another funny element to the Hugh Jackson experience, he elected not to have an offensive coordinator in the first.
Y'all heard all those numbers, right? Y'all heard every number. We ranked in the bottom 2 or 3 and everything. And this nigga Hugh Jackson said, I still don't think we need an offensive coordinator. We were just ranked. We couldn't. Hugh Jackson said, I don't want an offensive coordinator. I'm going to be the one to call plays. Meanwhile, he called a bubble screen against Pittsburgh, the most disciplined defense in the fucking league for like the past 20 years. He called a bubble. This is why if I ever see this, bro, I'm finna smack the shit out the bald head, bro. I've never Michael Jordan somebody in person. If I ever meet Hugh Jackson, bro, it's up.
2 years he was head coach. He had full autonomy to do whatever he wanted,
I will say,
and it resulted in the second worst offense
as a
in
Browns
football.
fan.
Hugh Jackson did assure his fan base that this would never happen again, stating that if this team ever went 1-15 or worse, he would be seen swimming in a river somewhere. And that's a great tease for later, so stick around for that. Some changes were made, including the firing of defensive coordinator Ray Horton and hiring the mastermind of Bountygate with the Saints, Greg
Williams was such a good coach. He was such a great coach. When he became the interim coach, oh my God. I just remember about fucking Freddie Kitchen. When he became the interim head coach, when Freddie Kitchen left, he should have became the head coach. He's a coach, you're gonna hate him as a person. He's a mean person. He's known for Bounty Gate. That's him on the audio saying, "Bring me their ACLs. I got 50 grand if you can bring me somebody's knee ligament." That's him. That's him on the Saints recording. I don't care about all that. He had our defense playing like their heads were on fire. He should have been our head coach.
Williams. Another departure was Hugh Jackson's assistant coach Pep Hamilton, who went to Michigan with Jim Harbaugh in that same offseason. On the bright side, they were able to sign Jamie Collins to a long-term deal, which was the main concern when they acquired him. 2017's free agency was an interesting one, and it started with a trade made between the Browns and the Texans. On March 9th, Cleveland sent a 4th-round pick to Houston
for fucking Brock Osweiler, bro. We got finesse, dog.
In exchange for quarterback Brock Osweiler and 2 other picks, including a second-round pick in 2018. A second-round pick that eventually turned into Nick Chubb. So that was well worth it. This was strictly a salary dump kind of
we did get Nick Chubb for that second-round pick, but still, bro.
Trade, which we more commonly see pulled off in the NBA. But the Browns had so much cap space, they were able to take on Osweiler's bloated contract after a failed stint in Houston. Some of the key names to leave the Browns that offseason were Jordan Poyer, which they would later regret, Gary Barnidge, Josh McCown, RG3, and Terrell Pryor.
Only 3 of those names I would have kept. I wanted to keep Gary Barnidge. Gary Barnidge didn't like football, though. He didn't love football. I wanted to keep Gary Barnidge, Jordan Poyer, and Terrell Pryor. Terrell Pryor, I think he got more money with Washington, but yeah, it's whatever, bro. Yeah, that's why I like Todd Monken. Todd Monken, bro, when the media ask him a dumbass question, Todd Monken be like, "What are you talking about? You just asked me that last week. The answer hasn't changed. Next question." Like, oh, I love it. Instead of Kevin Stefanski, we just have to be better. Our guys are playing good out there. Isn't Shador getting better? Don't you want to praise Shador? He doesn't need Shador. Dylan Gabriel, though, he's fucking amazing. Like, fuck out of my face, bro.
Pryor was one of the few bright spots in 2016, having just topped 1,000 receiving yards after just changing his position from quarterback to wide receiver. The additions they made were right guard Kevin Zeitler, who they stole from a division rival, center J.C. Treader because the Cam Irving experiment at center did not go as planned, wide receiver Kenny Britz, who they gave a 4-year deal.
This nigga, that he should be in prison. He stole so much money from us.
With $17 million guaranteed, and another Rutgers guy in cornerback Jason McCourty, who signed a 2-year, $6 million deal. Honestly, not a bad offseason on paper, although the Kenny Britt deal would age like milk, and it would not take long to realize.
This nigga robbed us, bro. He robbed us blind, bro. He robbed us, dude.
That. Although I'm still puzzled why they would let Alex Mack and Mitchell Schwartz leave the prior offseason just to invest in the offensive line an offseason later. That one just did not add up. Having the first pick in the draft is cool, but having another first-round pick to go with it is even better. This was the benefit of Sashi Brown trading back multiple times in the draft a year prior, as Cleveland held the 1st and 12th overall pick. First was a no-brainer selecting Myles Garrett, who till this day is still the best.
I think we went Myles Garrett, David Njoku, and then we traded back up to get Jabril Peppers. Jabril Peppers was decent for us. He was pretty good. Devon Vell's gonna be our Kenny Britt. Why you say that?
Best edge rusher in football, and arguably the most dominant defender that the NFL has seen over the past 10 years. With the 12th overall pick, the Browns had a bevy of options. Stay where they are and take Clemson's star quarterback Deshaun Watson, take a defender like Malik Hooker or even Hassan Reddick, or do the Sashi Brown go-to and just trade back. Well, it's pretty easy to guess what he did at this point. Cleveland traded with Houston yet again, giving up the 12th pick, but gaining the 25th overall pick, and a 2018 first-round pick. A big haul for a pick outside of the top 10, although they lost their chance on Watson.
Now, is this nigga freaky? Yeah, he's freaky. But we didn't know that at the time. We should have just took him. We should have just took him. I fucking hate him now, but hindsight's 2020, bro. All we do is trade with Houston. And Houston just be like, hey, look who calling. It's Cleveland. Bro.
Who was elite in Houston before he got traded to, would you look at that? Surely that one's working out well for them. At the 25th overall pick.
You can't even call this a good draft for Sashi. We were just ass, which is why we got Miles.
Cleveland took versatile safety Jabril Peppers out of Michigan. And just when you thought they were done drafting in night 1, they traded back into round 1 to take tight end David Njoku, another physical freak.
That was a great first round, though. You got to admit, that's a really good first round. That's a great first round. Jabril, David Njoku, and Myles Garrett. That's a great first round. That is that's the first time we actually had a brain. You know what I'm saying? Like that was a great trade. David Njoku started off slow. I thought he was gonna be a bust, but then Kevin Stefanski came in and helped out. But
with the 52nd overall pick in round 2, and Cleveland still desperately needing a future at quarterback, they took a shot on Notre Dame's DeShone Kizer. There were some rumors swirling around that Sashi Brown had his sights set on trading for Kirk Cousins or even Jimmy Garoppolo, but the Redskins nor Patriots would budge. Therefore, it was Kizer, who was very, very raw, but a toolsy prospect. Who better?
And he was nice in college, bro. He was nice. David Njoku, he's on the Chargers now. Yeah, we had 2 first, and we traded up into the first to take Jabril Peppers. But
to coach him than Hugh Jackson, the quarterback whisperer himself. And don't forget the offensive coordinator. I'm sure that guy will help too, if he existed. Cleveland would also leave that draft with defensive tackle Larry Ogunjobi and kicker Zane Gonzalez. I've seen worse drafts, and this one actually wasn't that bad.
Yeah, this was actually a good draft. This was a good draft here. We had Zane Gonzalez. We should have kept him. I think he left for more money. Larry Ogunjobi was pretty good. Him and Miles was a great duo.
Another notable trade that apparently sparked
a year later is when we got really good, though.
Tension between Hugh Jackson and Sashi Brown was trading linebacker Demario Davis for safety Calvin Pryor. Pryor was a 2014 first-round pick of the draft, and although Demario Davis played well in 2016 and went on to have a very, very good career, Sashi Brown preferred the younger safety with more upside. And they just took Jabril Peppers.
He's such a nerd, bro. Like, you can't look at him and be like, yo, this is a guy who's going to turn our franchise around. I'll get this nigga a swirly, bro. I'll get this nigga a swirly today in 2026. I'll give this nigga a swirly, gang. I'll get this dude a swirly right now. I'll pour milk on his head and throw applesauce at him. He's a nerd. I've never been a bully in my life. If I were to be a bully, I'd bully this nigga, bro. He's just such an easy target, bro. DeMario was in Cleveland? Yep, he was in Cleveland. He was in Cleveland. A lot of great players come through, and coaches. I don't think y'all know. We had Mike McDaniel. We had Bill Belichick. We had Kyle Shanahan. We had Demario Davis. It's like, I don't know, bro.
So this move was pretty puzzling. To make this transaction even more hilarious and embarrassing, Calvin Pryor did not even make it onto the Cleveland Browns Week 1 roster. Pryor was released on September 7th, just a little over 3 months since being acquired. Apparently, he had been involved in a fight with a teammate at practice.
Y'all see that, right? Y'all see Puka's brother?
Months since being acquired. Apparently, he had been involved in a
We had Puka's brother on the team, bro. You see what I'm saying? Like, nigga, if you want to be good, you just got to come through Cleveland for 1 season, and then when you leave, you're gonna
fight with a teammate at practice, and he did not respect Hugh Jackson enough to listen to his orders. And this wasn't Calvin Pryor's first run-in with a head coach, so they may have traded a future Hall of Fame linebacker in the middle of his prime for a bust of a safety with character issues. The Browns would head into 2017 with a 3-way open battle for the quarterback 1 spot.
That sounds very familiar. Where do I know that from? Interesting.
Between DeShone Kizer, Brock Osweiler, and Cody Kessler. It realistically...
Look at that fucking lineup. Ass, and booty hole, bro.
It came down to Kizer versus Osweiler once August came around, and although it was reported that the Browns veteran players preferred Osweiler, the ego of Hugh Jackson rose above all. So he goes with...
Where does that sound familiar from? The players want a certain player to be quarterback, but the coach's ego is stuck on this other guy who's clearly worse. That sounds very fucking familiar.
Kizer, a 2-year collegiate starter with obvious flaws, but enough flashes in preseason to grasp at hope and convince Hugh Jackson himself that this was in fact the right decision. Before the regular season could even begin, the Browns cut Brock Osweiler, a perplexing move not only given the lack of quarterback talent on the roster.
I think if DeShone Kizer was named QB1, if DeShone Kizer was named QB1 just off rip, I think he would have been a lot better than what he was, because that fucked up his confidence. You're telling me this washed up Brock Osweiler from Houston that you traded, who you end up cutting anyway. That messes with your confidence for sure. Deshaun Kaiser, he was bad. He was bad. You can't blame the O-line because that's one of the best O-lines in the past 15 years in the NFL. His confidence was shot, bro.
But the lack of experience as well. Osweiler may not have been the most experienced guy, only being 27 years old and having 21 career starts under his belt. But this guy played in some big games for a Super Bowl winning team and was teammates with Peyton Manning. Cleveland was now stuck paying Osweiler $16 million guaranteed to not even be on the roster. But as we knew from the beginning, it was all about acquiring that second round pick, which once again paid off. Their quarterback depth entering the season.
Oh, wait, hold on, my headphones came out.
Season was
wait, where my sound go? Oh, there we go. Sorry guys, I just got really excited. I miss Nick Chubb so much.
DeShone Kizer, Cody Kessler, and Kevin Hogan. The three had an average age of 23 years old, and in total had 8 career starts. All 8 belonged to Cody Kessler, who started 8 games.
Sounds very familiar. Sounds very familiar. Overpaying for an ex-Houston quarterback who's not even on the fucking team, who's not even playing. Sounds very fucking familiar. This team is a shit cycle. It's the Twilight Zone. Just over and over. Just dumbassery after dumbassery after dumbassery, bro.
And went winless in all of them. But possibly the most shocking move of them all.
I feel like Doctor Strange at the end of his first movies, like Dormammu, I'll come to bargain. I just feel like I'm in that fucking same loop, just over and over. It
was right before the season started in September when Sashi Brown released star cornerback Joe Hayden at 28 years old and missing.
And then the nigga goes to the Steelers and has a great
14 games in the past 2 years. Sashi Brown and the front office believed that Jamar Taylor and newly signed Jason McCourty could give them similar production for a fraction of the price. According to Jason La Conforta, the decision to cut Hayden renewed long simmering tensions between this front office and Hugh Jackson's coaching staff and was met with near unanimous disapproval in the locker room and with the football staff. So this move was not popular with anybody not named Sashi Brown, to say the least. With one of their best defenders now off the team, and they're only.
This nigga went up with Julio, and you want him.
Sashi Brown, to say the least.
Joe Hayden was so
good. With one of their best
good.
defenders now off.
We could have had Joe Hayden and Denzel on the same team.
Decent experience gone, and the Browns ranking as the youngest team in the NFL entering 2017. It was easy to see where this was heading. Bro. The optics were disastrous. The Browns may have managed to save $4 million, but in return they alienated most of their fan base and lost the trust of the locker room, who watched their defensive leader Joe Hayden walk straight to the division rival Steelers. There was still football left to be played, an entire season actually, so let's get into that. It got off to a bang with the Browns allowing a blocked punt for a touchdown not even 3 minutes into the new season. Cleveland did cut this game to 3 points and actually could have made it real interesting had Antonio Brown not made this incredible catch, but the score would end right there with a 21-18 Steelers win. Joe Hayden got his revenge on the team that just released him barely a week ago, adding one of the 7 sacks that DeShone Kizer.
We released him a week before the season. This nigga went to the Steelers and dogged us out, bro. Had us on 2 watch, bro.
Endured during his NFL debut.
Yeah, Joe
the
Hayden
next
was
5
clamps.
weeks were nothing but losing. A couple games that looked closer than they actually were.
We let Eric Weddle get a fucking interception.
Via garbage time touchdowns, or just getting the snot kicked out of them. Kaiser's career got off to a rough start. In those 5 games, he threw for 3 touchdowns
look at
to
that.
9.
Look at this. Look at this. Look at this.
Off to a rough
Look at this.
Start.
This not on DeShone Kizer,
In those 5
bro.
games, he threw for 3 touchdowns to 9
Kizer,
interceptions, rushed for 2 touchdowns, lost 2 fumbles, and was barely completing over half of his passes. Kevin Hogan was named the starter in Week 6 versus Houston, making it the one and only start of his career. It did not go too well, as Hogan was intercepted 3 times, and the Browns faced a 30-point deficit by the late 3rd quarter. After giving him 1 game to reset and clear his head, Hugh Jackson went back to DeShone Kizer in Week 7. However, Kizer would not even last a full game, as he was benched for Cody Kessler in the 3rd quarter. So let me get this straight. You completely outright bench your rookie quarterback just 5 starts into his career, and then the following week you bench him halfway through the game.
Bro, Ziggy, that's exactly how this nigga Sashi and Hughes used to act, bro.
For poor performance. I'm sure that's a great way to handle a kid's confidence. This was also the game where franchise.
We fucked up DeShone Kizer's confidence, bro. You're supposed to let your young player ride that out. It's not like you had a backup that was better than him. It's kind of like what the Panthers did with Bryce Young and Andy Dalton. Bryce Young was playing, but he wasn't playing that good. So you have Andy Dalton, someone who was known to be a good quarterback in the league. You put in Andy Dalton, let him play for a couple games. You notice Andy Dalton, you know what I'm saying? Bryce Young is able to learn a little bit more, relax, get his feet up underneath him, and you put Bryce Young in and nigga balls out. We didn't have that luxury because we're stupid, bro.
His legend Joe Thomas tore his triceps, putting an end to his historic consecutive snap streak and ultimately ending his career. This game did make it to overtime thanks to rookie Zane Gonzalez navigating the win to make a 54-yarder. The Cleveland offense went nowhere but backwards, and Ryan Suckup sent Tennessee home happy, winning this game, which was a field goal battle, by a score of 12-9. The extra week of rest did DeShone Kizer no good, but as Hugh Jackson alluded to before the season began, this was going to be his guy regardless of the outcome. I am going to ride this with DeShone. The good, the bad, whatever comes. So he stuck with his guy yet again, giving Kizer the opportunity to start the final game before the week 9.
I respect the short guy. That nigga Bryce, he's a baller, bro. He's got to get a little more consistent. He a baller, though.
And bye. The good news was Kizer played a clean game with no turnovers. The bad news was the Vikings outscored Cleveland 21-3 in the second half, dropping them to 0-8 on the season. With the bye week upon them and the trade that...
Guys, I don't know if I can finish this because I know that Corey Coleman drop is coming up, and I might actually lose my shit because I didn't realize this video was going to make me this mad. It's awakening a lot of demonic shit inside of me right now. But, like, I just know, like, I know it's coming. It's kind of like a jump scare in a movie. You know it's coming, but you can't do anything to stop it. It's inevitable. But like, I'm just thinking about this nigga. You're gonna see Corey Coleman.
Deadline just a couple of days away, the Browns put in their bid to acquire some much needed quarterback help. They had been linked to Jimmy Garoppolo once again, but he was dealt to San Francisco for a second-round pick. According to an article from Ben Axelrod, the Browns coaches were irate that their own front office weren't the ones making that same trade. After all, Cleveland...
Look at Andrew Berry. Andrew Berry's like an Easter egg. I didn't know that this nigga would turn out to be our GM and one of the greatest GMs in Browns history. But I do remember seeing him, but I didn't know he was going to be like that.
Had 3 second-round picks in this upcoming draft, and they could have easily outbid San Francisco. It was something that made Hugh Jackson irate, enough so that his own daughter went on Twitter taking shots at the front office, saying, quote, "Can't land a player if you're not on the phones." Now maybe, just maybe.
I remember that. This was a big deal because, one, I'm not going to lie, did I follow his daughter? I did. Because I thought she was pretty. She was, you know. Did I slide in her DMs? Probably. But when she tweeted this, I was like, oh, this is going to be on ESPN the next day. And lo and behold, it was. Jimmy was definitely worth a second-round pick. He's worth a second-round pick for sure.
Bill Belichick, who did not want to trade Jimmy Garoppolo in the first place, did not want to send him to Cleveland to watch his career die. Instead, he sent him to Kyle Shanahan in a stable organization,
I respect
even
Belichick
if the
for
draft
that,
compensation wasn't the same as the Browns could
I respect
offer.
Belichick
So
for
not
that.
only was the combination of Jackson and Sashi
How am I
Brown
free?
1-23 through their first 1.5 seasons together, but there was clearly a civil war going on in the Browns facility. To no surprise, Hugh Jackson's daughter Bailey made her account private after that reply went viral. In response to the missed opportunity on Garoppolo, Sashi Brown in the front office made a panic pivot move to acquire Bengals backup quarterback A.J. McCarron for second and third round picks.
Dog, I'm so glad this trade didn't go through. You guys are about to hear why the trade didn't go through. But here's the thing. My best friend at my job, he trolled the fuck out of me. He's like, "Yo, Flam, you guys just traded for AJ." I was like, "AJ? Who's AJ?" "AJ from Cincinnati." Whole time in my head, I'm thinking AJ Green. Nigga, I got lunch. I think lunch was at like 12:30 for me. Bro, I'm at work. I'm on my computer. This is when I had my cubicle. I had my own desk. I felt like Illuminati. I was just so giddy and happy. Man, I went to lunch. Me and Isaiah. Isaiah was my coworker at the time. Bro, we sat down. Nigga, I opened up my phone. I'm waiting to see. That shit said AJ McCarron.
Karen was a 27-year-old backup quarterback with 3 career starts in 2.5 years and was not the same level prospect as Jimmy Garoppolo. However, he did have a connection to Hugh Jackson, who coached McCarron as an offensive coordinator in Cincinnati. But being incompetent at their jobs actually may have benefited Cleveland here, because according to Adam Schefter, the Browns were late getting in their paperwork for this trade, and the NFL denied the approval of this trade. So due to Cleveland not...
We're even late to fax the fucking papers over, bro. Did you fight your friend? Nah, but he paid for my lunch though. He paid for my lunch because I was
getting
fucked
in
up.
their paperwork by 4 p.m. on trade deadline day,
couldn't
they
even get
were
our paperwork
saved
in,
from
man.
sending 2 picks on day 2 to acquire a career backup quarterback.
Whatever
To
happened
see
to him?
exactly how much they were saved, just 1 year later, Buffalo traded McCarron to the Raiders for a measly 5th-round pick. This team tried to give up a 2nd and 3rd-round pick. This
hate
trade
this team,
could have
bro.
been an all-timer in terms of bad trades,
hate
but
this
luckily
team,
the
man.
Browns sucked at everything they did, including paperwork. On the bright side, the NFL finally reinstated star wide receiver
W
Josh
friend.
Gordon on November
I
1st.
miss
Gordon
him
had
too.
been out of the NFL for almost 3 full years due to violating the league's substance abuse policies. At still just 26
Guys,
years old,
Guys, we would have had David Njoku, Josh Gordon, Hollywood Higgins, Nick Chubb. We would have had a crazy ass offense, bro. Baker.
there was excitement about the eventual return of Gordon, who was due
Look
back
at this
in
nigga high as hell.
26
You
years
could-
old. There was
Bro, he's zooted right here, bro. He's wearing a leather jacket with a hoodie on, bro. And a mohawk in 2016. Nigga was sauced.
excitement about the eventual return of Gordon, who was due back in week 13 for a game at the
I miss
Chargers.
him, though. I
At the
miss him so
worst, it
much.
was a good distraction from the embarrassing trade deadline performance by the Browns front office. In week 10,
so
the
good.
Browns remained competitive through 3 quarters in Detroit, but they couldn't tame the Lions' 4th quarter offense as they fell to 0-9. Deshaun Kaiser also had a massive clock management mistake heading into halftime, so that did not help the cause. The following week was against a ferocious Jacksonville defense, and that went about as you would expect it to go.
Oh my
Kaiser was
God.
sacked 5 times
Oh
and threw
my
2
God.
interceptions and lost 2
Here's the
fumbles.
thing, our defense didn't play that bad this game. Our offense did.
At this point, it was clear as day that Kaiser was not going to be the long-term answer. But given the other options on the roster, which we knew before the season were not any good, the Browns pretty much had no other options here. Being 0-10 and Deshaun Kaiser actively being a big reason why they were losing, it was in their best interest to keep playing him and falling into the 1st overall pick in back-to-back years. Unlike last year, this 2018 quarterback class had multiple high-end options
sucks,
at the
dude.
top of the class. So the Browns were hoping to
Oh my
finally find a
gosh.
long-term
Baker. It's my dad.
solution at the position that's hampered them for decades. USC's Sam Darnold, Oklahoma's Baker Mayfield, Wyoming's Josh Allen, and possibly others
Oh
were
my
expected to be
gosh.
top 5 picks in this upcoming draft. Week 12's loss at Cincinnati was a pretty historic one because it was the first time since 1976
fighters?
that a
All right.
team
This
started
video's almost
0-11 in consecutive seasons. Another added lowlight was a drop touchdown pass from Corey Coleman, the former first-round
Look at
pick
this
by
nigga,
this
bro.
regime, who at this point in his young career had dealt with drops
this
and
nigga,
durability
bro.
issues. But luckily, this was the week where the long-anticipated return of Josh Gordon finally took place. Week 13 at the LA Chargers, where Gordon caught 4 of his 11 targets for 85 yards. He did not look like a guy who had been out of the NFL for over 1,000 days, and it offered some excitement to a fan base that desperately needed it. Now, despite Hugh Jackson being 1-27 in his first 28 games, Browns owner Jimmy Haslam was still adamant about retaining his head coach for the 2018 season. Once again, this was the worst.
This nigga is the reason this team is going to be dog shit. Unless he sells the team, this team is going to be ass. We're never going to win a Super Bowl unless he sells the rights to this team, bro. Why would you want to keep Hugh Jackson after going 1-31 in 2 years? Why?
First start by a head coach in his
Can't
first
stand that
28
nigga, bro.
games in the history of the league. A league that had been around since
not set.
1920 and
Nah,
saw
you good.
over 500 coaches. The Browns had the worst one of all time, and they were still willing to bring him back. In that same week after the Chargers loss, the Browns fired general manager Sashi Brown. Brown was also largely responsible for the 1-27 tenure, but the organization sided with Hugh Jackson instead of just terminating both. After the divorce, more information came out about the turmoil between Sashi and Hugh, and according to Mary Kay Cabot, Hugh Jackson and Sashi Brown were not on speaking terms for over a month leading up to his firing. Hugh Jackson made it aware that he wants to be more in the loop with the next general manager, possibly taking a shot at Sashi Brown for the lack of communication. Jackson
both
also
were
stated
ass.
that there were too many leaks coming out of the Browns building over the past 2 years, and that needed to go away.
Both
At the
sucked.
time, there was major criticism aimed at Sashi Brown for passing on
This nigga passed on Deshaun Watson, Carson Wentz, Garoppolo, Derek Carr is actually pretty good. Just his injuries. Even Teddy Bridgewater. Sashi Brown didn't want none of these niggas. Trubisky, nah.
Quarterbacks Carson Wentz and Deshaun Watson, both of whom looked like they were going to be star quarterbacks for a long time. Due to all of his trade backs and selling off veterans, the vision that Sashi Brown had for this organization was going to take at least 3 to 5 years to marinate. Hugh Jackson was a guy known for panicking and wanting quick fixes, while Brown was super laid back and had the patience to see his plan come to life, even if it took a few years. And truthfully, maybe Sashi Brown was never actually qualified for this position. Cleveland as an organization wanted to get younger and analytically driven, but Sashi never had a scouting background. Before being Cleveland's de facto general manager, Sashi was a lawyer who primarily handled salary caps and contracts.
We hired a lawyer who's a baseball fan to be a football GM, and they expected that to go well.
But when arguably the most critical part of the job is scouting players, something that he had never done at a high level, it became evident that this role was simply just too much for him. Leaving a war chest of picks and cap space behind, it was an attractive job for whoever the next GM would be. And in a matter of just hours, they would hire former Chiefs executive John Dorsey to be their next general manager.
Mr.
Walking
Dorsey.
into an
I miss Dorsey, man. The hat, dress shirt, crew neck, gum combo, bro.
12 team who has just one win in almost 2 full years is never ideal, but having 2 first-round picks and 3 second-round picks in the 2018 draft was something to look forward to. And in Dorsey's first week with the organization, they actually had a 21-7 lead late in the 3rd quarter against Brett Hundley and the Packers. And had rookie tight end David Njoku came up with this crucial 3rd down, there's a good chance the Browns win their first game of the season right there. Unfortunately, it was knock free, and after further review, Cleveland had to punt to Green Bay, who tied the game with just 17 seconds remaining. In the Browns' overtime drive, DeShone Kizer made a boneheaded rookie mistake trying to make something out of nothing, leading him to throw a jackpot-style interception. The defense crumbled as well, allowing a 3rd down screen to Devontae Adams to go 25 yards to the house, dropping the Browns to 0-13 on the season. Just when you thought things were about to change, the Browns blow a game where they had a 96% chance of winning in John Dorsey's first week aboard. Get ready to learn disappointment, buddy. During this same week, Cleveland also released Kenny Britt, the wide receiver who had just signed a 4-year deal the prior offseason, couldn't even finish 1 season as a Cleveland Brown. According to this article on Bleacher Report, Kenny Britt was a Sashi Brown guy, while Hugh Jackson had a differing view. Considering Hugh Jackson called out Britt in their first game together after week 1, I would say there's probably some truth to that. While he did play through injuries and dealt with really bad quarterback play, Britt only compiled 233 yards and 2 touchdowns in 9 games as a Cleveland Brown. At this point in time, the Browns were 3 games away from completing the
we lost to Brett Hundley, man.
By a team in NFL history.
We lost to a lot of ass
Since
quarterbacks.
the 2008 Lions. Before getting into the last 3 games, though, I wanted to mention this interesting fact that was tweeted by Adam Schefter around this time. It had now been 2 full years since the Browns won a game on Sunday, which is what I alluded to in the first sentence of this video. And as a disclaimer, the win against the Chargers the previous year came on a Saturday afternoon. So the last Sunday they had won was a game started by Johnny Manziel, who literally was not on the roster during the Hugh Jackson era. In week 15, they would host Baltimore and looked lifeless offensively against a good Ravens defense. DeShone Kizer had negative passing yards in the first quarter, and the offense couldn't score a single point in the second half. After a now record 30 straight Sunday losses, the Browns had a chance to finally get over the hump. Chicago came in at 4-10 with a rookie quarterback and lame duck head coach, but it still was not enough to make this game competitive. In fairness to Cleveland, they did have a Myles Garrett pick 6 taken off the board due to an offsides call. So that
I remember this. Miles, come back. Miles, come back.
They did have a Myles Garrett pick 6 taken off the board due to an offsides call, so that could have changed the outcome of the game. But in the end, Cleveland could not find the end zone, while the Bears were too busy doing snow angels in their end zone. To get throttled by a team as bad as the Bears is pretty eye-opening. DeShone Kizer's catastrophic rookie season continued as he threw 2 interceptions while completing only half of his passes. For the 2nd year in a row, the Browns' season finale took place at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh. Last year, they were
Oh
coming
my
off of
gosh,
a win
yeah,
and
oh
sent
no.
the game to overtime, riding
No,
some momentum.
no.
This time, though, it was the opposite. They looked like a team that had given up. They had just lost by 3 possessions to one of the other worst teams in the league. And just like last year, Pittsburgh was resting some of their main starters,
my
guys
God,
like Ben
no.
Roethlisberger and Le'Veon Bell. Landry Jones
No.
and Stephen Ridley got the Steelers out to a 21-7 lead midway through the
We got walked down by Landry Jones in 2 seasons, bro.
second quarter. To the Browns' credit, though, they fought back. Rashard Higgins cashed in on 2 touchdowns, tying the game at 21. The very next play after tying the game up, the special teams of the Browns allowed a 96-yard kickoff return by Juju Smith-Schuster back when he was electric, and they trailed by 7 in what felt like a blink of an eye. Despite that, though, Cleveland found themselves in a position to win the game.
Oh my
Kaiser and the
gosh.
offense took the field trailing by 4 points, needing to go 85 yards in 4.5 minutes. Josh Gordon's 33-yard catch and Duke Johnson's first down run put Cleveland in a realistic spot to win this game. Instead of being the 4th team in history to infamously go winless, all they needed to do was go 30-some-odd yards to avoid going down in infamy. They had a 4th and 2 with just under 2 minutes to go on Pittsburgh's 27-yard line. The season came down to this. Deshaun Kaiser was able to avoid what looked like a sack and found a wide-open Corey Coleman down the left sideline. Corey Coleman dropped.
I hate this dude, bro. He ruined everything I loved about this game, about this team, bro. He ruined it, bro. He ruined everything, dude. He just ruined everything I cared about, bro. Oh my gosh. I hate this nigga, bro. Coach, give me an opportunity. Coach, I'm better than Hollywood Higgins, coach. Coach, pass me the ball, coach. Draw me up some plays, coach. Coach. Shut your bitch ass up. And then when Greg Williams or John Dorsey tells you to get in the game, stop dropping passes. Coach, he threw a bad ball. It was a bad route. Shut up. I'll really, bro. Look at this shit, bro.
And found a wide open Corey Coleman down the left sideline. Corey Coleman dropped the ball. As mentioned earlier, he had issues with drops, and this drop ultimately ended the Browns' season.
Look at
cementing them in
this!
history for all the wrong reasons. And
He's
it
so
was
sorry,
very fitting
bro.
that their season ended like this.
So
Coleman was
sorry,
a microcosm of everything wrong with the Browns organization. A high draft pick with poor player development, bad injury luck, and tons of inconsistency. And just a few months later, Coleman, who was the first
over there trying to, bro, man.
round pick of the Browns 2 years ago, was traded to Buffalo for a 7th round pick. After a 1-31 stretch over 2 seasons, which once again was the worst in NFL history, Hugh Jackson by some miracle was able to keep his job. To Jackson's credit, however, he was a man of his word and actually ended up swimming in Lake Erie on June 1st, 2018. This event was used as an opportunity to metaphorically cleanse the Browns organization.
Niggas swimming in a lake. Niggas happy he's swimming in a lake because they went 0-16. I ain't gonna lie. If that was me, if I was in this crowd, if I was at this charity event, I'd have held this nigga under the water.
While
I'd have
also
held him under
raising
the water.
$30,000.
I'd have pretended like I was looking for something. And as soon as I caught Hugh like one-on-one, like in the corner of like the lake, like behind like a buoy or something, I'd have took that fucking milk dud and held it under the water for so fucking long. Like, damn, y'all, Coach Jackson not here no more. He passed away. That's what I'd have did.
Dollars to Jackson's charity, which focused on combating human trafficking.
I can't
Another
stand
event
that.
was held as a
He needs to
crowd
be
of an
human trafficked,
estimated
bro.
3,200
terrorist.
Browns fans had their parade for an imperfect
Nigga, we had a parade with a garbage truck with our record on it, bro. Like, nigga, we're not a serious franchise, dog.
season,
We're just not.
and they were able to raise
We're just not, bro.
$17,000 for the Greater Cleveland Food Bank. A good cause for something that did not
Nigga,
deserve one.
Y'all see what this bus is called? Y'all see the name of this bus, gang? Bro, we're not a serious team. He went down first round.
So shout out to Cleveland fans for that. 2018 saw big changes. 2 top 5 picks, new quarterback at first overall, new running back, big signings, trades, and a core that had the Browns as a respectable organization from 2018 to 2023. It's almost impossible to replicate how bad things were during the Hugh Jackson era, but I'd be lying if I said things were looking substantially better for the organization nearly a decade later.
And then at Hard Knocks, this nigga wanna Baker, come here. Sit down, Baker. I just want to let you know, congratulations. You're QB2. Yo, I wanted to...
Sum up what happened to our main characters. Hugh Jackson's return for a third season only lasted 8 games. He was fired after a 2-5-1 start, handing the keys over to Greg Williams as the interim head coach the rest of the way. Jackson ended his Cleveland tenure going 3-36-1 and 11-44-1 overall if you include his time with the Raiders. Out of 219 coaches to coach at least 40 games, Jackson ranked 218th in terms of winning percentage. The only person he was ahead of was Burt Bell, who went 10-46-2 with the Eagles in the late 30s, early 40s, and couldn't be fired because he literally owned the team. Jackson spent the rest of
being an owner and head coach of the team, and
2018 as the assistant coach for the Bengals, mainly due to his relationship with head coach Marvin Lewis and quarterback Andy Dalton. And not even 2 months after his firing, Jackson was being taunted on the sidelines.
Yeah, who got the pick and gave Hugh the ball? Who was that?
Quarterback he had just been coaching up earlier that season.
It
was obvious that Baker Mayfield and Hugh Jackson had an awkward relationship. The Browns hilariously went 5-3 the rest of 2018 after Hugh Jackson was let go. In other words, it took the Browns 2.5 years to win 3 games under Hugh Jackson, and in just 8 games as the interim head coach, Greg Williams got them to 5 wins. John Dorsey only lasted 2 full years as the Browns general manager, having marginal success but coming up well short of big expectations.
He wasn't a bad GM. Look at this fucking look at this group, bro. This group is so beautiful. Yeah, Baker wasn't trying to do the whole hug that. Nah, bro, Baker, Odell, Jarvis, and Miles, bro. That should have been our core for the next 10 years.
Sashi Brown moved on to better things as he spent time with the Washington Wizards and then went on to be president of the Baltimore Ravens organization since 2022. He's still there till this day. Deshaun Kaiser was traded to Green Bay in the 2018 offseason, but he never started another
Sashi good everywhere except fucking football, bro.
Game in the NFL. He ended his Browns career with an 0-15 record, 22 interceptions, and 6 lost fumbles. His 28 turnovers are still the most ever by a rookie quarterback in a single season.
No, but like not even trying to be funny. Sashi is the reason the Ravens haven't really been able to get them a true wide receiver. Sashi does not believe in wide receiver play. Sashi will trade for any and sign any and everybody that's not a receiver.
Griffin III started just 5 games as a Brown due to injuries and only started 2 more games the rest of his career before his final season in 2020. Most of the players from this 1-31 era did not last too long either. The only guys who were on the roster 5 years later from the winless team was Myles Garrett, who's still there today, Joel Bitonio, and David Njoku. Yep. Those 2 were on the team all the way up until 2025. I'm not sure we'll ever see a 1-31 stretch again in the NFL. There seems to be more randomness and a competitive balance that the league did not have at that time. I guess it's possible to intentionally lose that badly, but at the same time it's tough to execute, as you could see with Sashi Brown. At least we got to witness history, and for that, Cleveland, we thank you. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, of course, leave a like and subscribe.
Hell no, I
will
hated
talk
this
to
video.
you guys next.
This video is hella stupid. Nah, I'm playing. This is a great video. This is an amazing video. This is a great video.